This is the culture of convenience, balancing the needs of your business with the needs of your people.
This is Jeff Kahler, and this is our first episode of Culture of Convenience. And today in studio, we have with us the lovely and talented producer Kelly. We refer to her as Producer Kelly.
Wow. I feel so seen.
And we also have with us our sound engineer, Nodding Nick.
Nodding Nick. We love him.
Yeah, he's wonderful. Nick's a great guy.
For sound engineer, he says nothing. He only nods or shakes his head.
So we will interact with Nodding Nick throughout the podcast episodes, and we will find out what his thoughts are by his nods.
Yeah, if we need to.
Not that frequent, but yes.
Otherwise, he brings other really amazing things to the table, like sound effects. So, for instance, Nick, it's our first show. Let's pop that champagne.
Oh.
Okay.
Well,
see, this is why we don't go to him.
Great qualities other than speaking and sound effects.
Okay, it's fine. Just keep moving, you know?
Which leads us into today's episode, which is about recruiting.
Yes.
And so recruiting is very fitting for this episode because we're recruiting listeners.
Ooh, creativity right there, my friend.
Tying it together.
I like it.
Well, this is actually a 3-part series that we're going to be doing on recruiting. The next one's going to be interviewing, and the following one is going to be hiring, which also has some onboarding to it. So recruiting is just so foundational. It's kind of the bedrock of any business or industry. And when you're building a culture of convenience, it's like the number one thing, because without talent, you're kind of screwed.
Without talent, without people, you're never going to get anything done.
Yeah, and the whole mission, the success of your business is the people you hire.
Yeah.
No matter what they say, and a lot of that's cliche, but the people really do matter, and it's a really good topic to talk about. So I'm excited to talk about it today, Kelly.
Well, I'm sure in your travels you've recruited a few people.
To say the least, yeah. With restaurants and pizzerias, high turnover, I probably have recruited and hired some 2,500 people in my career.
Which one was your favorite?
I had a young woman that was really bright. Should I call one person out?
Oh, do you really have one, a favorite out of all the years and all the people? So wait, you had pizza since 1986.
Yep.
You transitioned into software somewhere when software was invented.
2004. Okay. Somewhere in that range, okay. 2005. I've been thinking about it for some years, but 2004 or 5.
Okay. So out of all those years from 1986 to now, you've had a favorite person that you've recruited.
I've had a lot of good people, but I have
favorite. You have one.
Carrie Marsh.
Oh my gosh.
Worked for our company, and she was just she was probably the nicest person. Had her head on straight. She was a good worker, good school grades and all that, and she just sticks out. She's always been.
Well, Jeff, I didn't want to say anything, but she's here today.
Oh, hey, Carrie, how are you? Nice to see you.
I'm just kidding.
She's in studio for an interview.
Carrie's gone.
No,
she's in Costa Rica living her best life.
Well, that's okay.
On money that she made in the pizza business. So good job.
I'm sure her name's not Marsh anymore. I believe she's married now, but.
Well, obviously, you said you officiated her wedding, right? Right there.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Did I mention that already? I was going to save that for the end and have another champagne. No, please don't. No, please don't. For the love of God, please do not.
It's so realistic sounding.
Oh gosh. Does he ever listen? He's like a rebel now.
No, I know. He's got
It's the first show. Maybe we need to start recruiting
sound engineers. No.
Okay.
No. Okay. No, we love it. Okay. So anyway, yeah. But speaking of recruiting, tell me how you began recruiting in 1986, and has it changed anything over the years? I assume it has.
Sure.
Okay.
So I basically did, street fighting. I had to get out and hire folks that were, maybe I didn't even know them. I would be out and I would overhear a conversation. I would be, at a ball game, or I would be at the mall, or I would run into someone, a customer would come in.
Okay.
And I would see them and maybe they'd say, well, how's it going? And they say, oh, I lost my job, or my cousin's out of work, and I would just bluntly ask. I'd say, okay, Kelly, you interested in coming to work?
Well, you actually did do that, so.
Well, we're still doing it today. That's how it ties in. So yes, but you don't be afraid to ask, and you just don't know. And so we would always we were always working with, a lot of part-time, a lot of seasonal. So I would ask anyone that came in. I would print little business cards that just said, come in and apply, or we're looking for employees, because we were always had a need. There was a very few times, even though our turnover was lower.
Yeah.
We still were hiring because people were graduating, people were moving on. Delivery drivers today, it was nothing like the gig economy that we have, where you could just turn your Uber app on, and get work and then turn that off.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things didn't exist, but I just had to fight. I had to fight my way to get staffing, because you didn't have all the tools that you have today. We had to do it, newspaper ads.
Right. Help wanted.
And you're eating up with the other 25 jobs there.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you stick out? How did you stand out? What did you say?
Well, what did you say?
The first thing that we did is we put bonus. We instituted a sign-up bonus. So if you would sign up, you would stay 45 days, because we knew that after 45 days, the likelihood of you staying was good. We would give you a $50 gift card.
Oh, cool. To the pizza shop?
Well, that's the entrepreneur coming out. No.
How many hoagies can I eat?
Correct. No, we would give them a $50 gift card to either a grocery store that we had a relationship with.
Gotcha.
And we were at the early stages of delivery. So one of the other unique things that we did is it was easier for us to recruit drivers because we provided the cars.
Oh, well, that would be a big bonus.
So you didn't have to, put mileage and wear and tear on your car.
Stink up your car.
So for the first 10 years, we used to have about 15 cars.
What kind of car was it? Was it a
Chevette?
Oh.
And then we had S10 pickup trucks. But a lot of work, because
Right.
you would have to maintain those. That's where I've got a lot of my experience in automotive, transmissions and the snow, and we did a lot of work there.
Recruiting mechanics.
Russell Downs did a lot of our work. Thank you, Russell. If you're out there listening, right?
He's also in Costa Rica.
He's definitely he's running from me. I don't think he's going to listen to, we put him through hell. So just like cars have changed, recruiting has definitely changed. And in my transition from, pizza to software, there's been many, many changes in not only the approach for many, but also because I still do that today. I still, reach out to people, and I've met a lot of people that work at our company at my son's baseball games. But the biggest change has been technology, applicant tracking systems, recruiting, the way that you recruit, how you recruit, the Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Monster, all of those applications have added to the experience, which gets you more candidates.
Right.
But not necessarily qualified candidates. And that doesn't mean they don't provide that, but you have to be a little bit more skeptical because you're getting a flood of them. You can get, I'm sure, with some jobs. I mean, I know in our company, a marketing job could yield us 100 applications.
Wow.
And it's just a lot to go through and maintain and keep up with. So I work with some recruiters in the industry, in convenience stores and restaurants and hotels that just sometimes are overwhelmed. Now, sometimes they're underwhelmed, meaning that they have a job that they really need people to work for. And so I always look back to making sure that you have the right person on the bus. So, Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, ties that together to say, make sure that you have the right person, because hiring what we used to call like a 98.6, which was a warm body.
Okay.
So recruiting that person doesn't always yield the best results. So sometimes waiting to fill that position, even though it's painful.
Sure.
But it's never been costly. Putting the wrong person on, even if you have to pay someone else overtime, for me, it's never been costly.
Well, so what you're saying is, even though there's more avenues to recruit, you still have to recruit well.
Yes.
That hasn't changed. So then walk me through that. What does that look like? Recruiting well, as opposed to just getting an influx of applications in your inbox.
So I think it starts with the job description.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's hugely important. Target that worker, making sure that, of course, you have, hiring range, which
hiring range as in the money.
In money.
Right.
The second part of that for me is to make sure that the application has the right questions. Because there's a lot of companies that just go out and they put these question after question after question, and that doesn't necessarily always yield the right results. So we're asking questions like, can you work weekends?
Right.
And the job doesn't require it all the time. That's one of the things that we have in our organization is we ask, can you work for certain jobs? Can you work because we have weekend support?
Sure.
But we don't ask that to everyone. And sometimes people, setting up their portal or however they collect that data, they don't ask the right questions and they don't ask the right job description. They also write in a bunch of, no offense to HR folks, that the HR wording jargon.
Sure.
And that can become overwhelming for someone.
Okay.
Another thing is, experience.
Experience versus what?
Like a degree.
Versus education.
Yeah, whether you have a degree or you have education. Not that there's anything wrong with education, but I've always found that clearly not. I mean,
my fourth grade reading level has taken me so far.
It has. So. Look at what you're doing now.
I mean it.
That's what I'm saying. It's so with no formal college education.
You've been knocking it out of the park since '86.
We're rocking and rolling here, and get to talk about it.
Okay.
I always encourage CEOs, bosses, hiring managers to not fixate exclusively on education, but also to take a strong look at the experience of the candidate.
Right. So that's like one of the biggest things for me because I only finished part of my college. It stinks when they ask that or they put that in the job description, must have, like the non-negotiables, like you have to have that BS in whatever. And that just drives me crazy because I know I could do it.
No,
I know I can do it, Jeff.
You're qualified for sure.
But I know I won't get past the filter, even they have on their email, because I don't have that degree. And it's a big, gigantic bummer.
But by just changing one word, changing it from must to, like to have. I mean,
right.
You could change the whole, you might never apply.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be fully qualified and be able to do the job. And yet, because they put must have, and they think, well, someone will still apply. But they might be missing, the best fruit.
I think people feel more self-conscious. If I had to be honest, I feel people without the degree feel more self-conscious applying for a job that is requiring the degree because they don't want to be called out for not having the degree. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it feels like you're putting yourself out there. You're like, I know you're just gonna chastise me for not having this degree,
And it's really not the case, at least speaking from my perspective.
Okay.
We don't look at things like that. We look at their real experience. The other thing is that I've always had a saying that says, when you have a lot of experience, someone else has financed your failure.
Okay.
And so
what do you mean?
When you go through the learning curve, whatever job you're in, no matter whether you're college educated or not.
Sure.
When you get real life experience, things are going to, broadside you, hit you. You're going to also learn the good things. You're going to successes. You're going to have all of that. But if I bring someone in that has 10 years experience, that means that they've went through those growing pains through someone else. That's why they're worth more money because they have the experience.
That's a good point.
So, that's one of the things in our hiring process that we say, let's look at experience. Let's look at what they can do and what they have done. And education's fine, but can they really do the job for us? So to sum up job description, we want to target workers with really clean and clear, concise language to make sure that we look for both experience and education in a mix.
Right.
But we're not writing in the must-haves all the time.
Sure.
We're asking the right question to the right person. And we're understanding that someone may be able to do the job that may not have education. So those are my points to make sure that you have a really good job description and attracting the right people.
Okay, so then what?
Boom. Let's turn the switch on. So, Cal, now we've got the great job description. We've worked internal to get the mechanism. Everybody signed off and we're ready to go. Now we're going to turn the switch on.
Right.
So now we're going to bring people in, whether it's a website, whether you're doing that through referrals, whether you're doing job fairs. And there's even some states that have through their unemployment office, you can get tax credits to bring people in.
Oh, nice.
It's time now to receive the candidates. Okay? It's time.
You play the gong.
But done wrong,
okay.
If you do it wrong,
right.
I mean, it could be, and I know you and I had spoken before about a local grocery store chain that had people standing out line for hours to apply for a job. I don't know that that's the best look, and I don't think that's really the way you want to do it.
Okay.
And so that really becomes, how you approach this is big. So starting with the job description is so important. Plain language, stuff they can read and understand. It has to make sense. Laying out what your core values are.
Right.
What do we stand for? What's our mission statement? And describe that. Don't just, a single line in quotes, right? Put that in detail. What is your core values? What do you stand for as an organization? Because they want to join something.
So you want to attract people that don't just want a job, they want a purpose.
Everybody that comes, the reason you work and show up is because you love doing what you do. And if you don't,
it gets old.
It's probably not going to work long term. Short term, you may have a win. You may get a need filled. I got to get a job, make a certain amount of money.
Sure.
But long term, it just may not work. And that's not every case, and that's not blanketed, but it's a good part. You're really looking for purpose to come and help and serve and work together collectively for, of course, the mission and then the values.
Well, I think if people feel that they have a purpose, they'll be more likely to stay on, like you said. If you're just trying to make your X amount of dollars, it can things can get not good.
Oh, we have a client that's, their motto is leave them better. We want you, when you leave here, you're leaving here better than when you started.
That's actually awesome.
It is awesome, and it's really fun to be a part of it.
So besides money and what's the stuff you stated before, how else can you attract that quality person?
Well, I mean, our company has dogs at work. So we allow pets at work. Now, right. Not every day for every person. But
why can't I bring in my Komodo dragon? I'm just curious.
Well, you can. It's going to be restrained to the loading dock back in the warehouse, but that's okay.
Okay, fine.
Sounds, barking, mess, and all that but having dogs in the office, we have community where we bring in other dogs and they all meet and they go out back and it's really
get each other's numbers and
do what you got to do, a little sniffing action.
But here's what's saying we allow dogs at the office. What it's really saying is we don't take ourselves so seriously. We're not like, obviously you couldn't allow dogs at a hospital. That would be problematic.
You could.
Probably.
But I don't know that,
depending on which
it
wing
wouldn't be a good look.
Right. But you can have, I think what it says for you guys, for us, that it says that, we don't take ourselves too seriously. We obviously have a good product and everything like that, but we understand that people actually do better when there's animals around, which is kind of crazy,
Yeah. I was sitting on a call with a Fortune 100 company president, getting ready to do a demo.
Okay.
And the delivery person came in, and the dog took off his own chair.
Yeah,
Go figure.
He had his own throne.
Pork chop. He went running and started barking. I mean, and I'm sitting there freaking out. I'm going, oh my God, what am I going to do? And this person actually said, and I explained what happened, that we had the dog in the office that day. And she said, I'm so jealous. I wish I could bring my dog to work. We can't because we're in an office where, they don't allow it,
sure.
A building. And there was just jealousy.
Which is what we only want to create.
We love
for
envy and jealousy. I mean, it's wonderful. Those things really go well together. I think the other thing, at least one of our core values, is that, family comes first, right? People over profit. Because once you have the right people following the right process, you will get the right product, no matter what, 100% of the time. And that's just a proven, time after time after time. And I also believe that marketing should have a hand in writing job descriptions.
Right. So it doesn't sound like some computers talking all the time.
Yeah, and I don't mind having the details of the job, but I think there's a marketing piece to it that a lot of companies may have. I don't, but I know there's some that don't. It's just really bad look.
Right.
It looks pretty bad. It's okay. Can you do the,
right. It feels
mechanical,
robotic. Right.
Yeah.
And we're not looking for robots.
Right. So the first thing, job description. Make sure you have it written well. Make sure you have it signed off by everybody. Make sure everybody understands. The second part for me is switch on. Let's start getting candidates. Let's be ready for them though. Okay. Even if it's a rejection, I'm sorry you didn't meet our qualifications. That email and the way you frame that. Maybe it's a candidate that applied, and is not the right fit for now. Communication on that piece, and again,
that is, Jeff, I wish more people did that, because in the acting world, which is also something that I dabble in, you never hear, sorry, you're not a good fit. You just hear if you are a good fit. And I can't tell you how many other jobs where they don't tell you you weren't a good fit or that you didn't get the job. They just tell you if you did. So people wander and scratch their head and they said, I applied for this job, but I never heard anything. Telling someone that they got the job is just as important as telling them that they didn't get the job. And I think a lot of people leave that out in companies. And it drives people bananas. I don't mean just in the acting world. I mean in a lot of places. You never hear anything.
Yeah, and I see it happen all the time, even with, we'll tie this together, but it's still a job, sales jobs. When someone's trying to sell me on a product and I'm completely happy where I am or I'm not going to buy, I want to respect their time.
Right. At least tell the person it's going to be a no.
Right.
At least that. And I think so many companies get it wrong. They feel that they need to tell everybody who did get the job, but they don't turn around and tell all those poor saps that didn't get the job.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But at least do it, and doing nothing. My dad used to say, doing nothing is doing something.
What do you mean?
So by doing nothing, by not sending you a rejection letter, right? We're doing something.
Right.
Maybe the next job you look at it and don't even open our email, and we really need your caliber talent for that.
Right.
Likely is not, probably not. But I'm saying that's a bad illustration, but we'll go with that. But do you see what I mean? By doing nothing, right. by saying nothing. And the other one is inside of the company, and I think in a hiring strategy, anything that you're doing, right? Recruiting, be prepared all the time. Be prepared for the influx. And again, you might only get 2 candidates, but you might get 30.
Right.
And you just never know. And because you don't know, be prepared.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So then there's a final piece to this, which is, so you've kind of created this like this painting of what your company is looking for and how they're going to be treated if and when they get hired and stuff like that. But I feel like there's this last little piece to the puzzle.
There's a lot of companies today that are putting videos that are related to the job. And these are great, great, great marketing pieces. They allow you to see what the job is and meet the people there, the coworkers and the team. And these are real people. They're not using talent. And they do a great job of interviewing and talking to them so that if you're going to be, the clerk at a convenience store.
Right.
You know what that job, this is fast-paced. This is high energy. This is constant customer, interaction.
Right.
And if you're a person that may not thrive in that, why apply?
Right.
And so they really do a good job at linking that job description video to you. You have to watch it before you can even apply in some cases.
That's important. I've seen those at like UPS or any of those when they they hire a lot of people for the holidays.
Yep.
They'll show them moving big boxes, taking them upstairs, leaving them on people's porches, putting, all that. Because people think, I'll just drive a UPS truck. But it's like, well, I hope you may have to deliver somebody's gigantic Dyson vacuum too, up like 15 flights of steps to their apartment, And
I know I'm going to do this until the week of Christmas. Well, that job runs to, I'm not saying there's contracts. I don't know the relationship there, but you're not getting Christmas Eve off if you're working for UPS to make sure that the packages get there. So there's work hours, long days, and I think setting that up, expectations, really does cement this for an organization. We create a lot of these videos, so a little plug there. That's what we do.
And I may act in one of them, so a little plug there.
Yeah, you never know. But I think that the recruiting video, tying it to the right application, being ready for the influx, you basically have got a foolproof system.
Well, I love foolproof systems. I'd like to believe my life is a foolproof system. So
I bet you do. And as you look at recruiting, more and more it becomes automated, the process, hiring people, getting the right people. And so as you start to build your culture of convenience, and no matter what role you're in, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're an executive, you've been doing this, a month, or you've been doing it, 25 years, hiring the right people, putting the right people on the bus, is
foundational.
It's definitely foundational, but it impacts the whole company and the whole organization, no matter what you do. And one of the sayings is that if you don't hire smart, you manage with difficulty.
Oof.
And who wants to spend the rest of their life managing with difficulty?
Nobody.
Which will lead us into the next step, which is doing a good interview, making sure that you interview the right people and you select that process and you have that. We'll talk about that on another episode. And so that's it.
Sounds good, Jeff. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Culture of Convenience. For show bios, links, and more, go to cultureofconvenience.com. And as always, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email or leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts.